right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the iConis podcast. The icon is Wonder Man. Not the character. Yes, the character another day. But right now, we're talking about the miniseries, the Spotlight, Marvel Spotlight. But I digress. This is what we're going to do. Barry, let him know something. Let him know something. As I look for paperwork, because I can't remember what I do next.
Okay. Hey, everyone, thank you for tuning into the iConis podcast. It's been a while, so we're kind of getting out the Cobwebs of we go. Yes, we're getting back to our regular schedule. So, as Rod said, we're going to be talking about Wonder Man. We're going to talk about the Spotlight Disney 8 episodes that went on there. I know everyone talked about Wonder Man, but we're going to talk about Wonder Man. Why? Because one, it's Black History Month, represent. Two, it's been a while since we've done this show, so we're using this as a jump on point. And three, that's because we missed you all. So one, thank you guys for tuning in and holding out. And a couple of quick thank yous. So big thank you to Larry Recklazado for doing all the YouTube shorts he's been doing for us while we're getting back on our flow going again. So make sure to check those out. Our shorts, we're still doing Fancast in there, and Larry's kind of leading the charge on that one. He's got some really good ones. He did Lion Man. That was really cool. Nelvana of the Northern Lights. That was really cool. So if you want to know about those characters, tune in. Second of all, we got to give a big shout out for the one and only Mr. JBird Digital Arts. Rod.
JBird Digital Arts. I remember the script. I remember.
You remember. I almost bought that one. But yes, so JBird, if you need any templates, any kind of digital media that is done for your business, your website, your podcast, anything along those lines, reach out to JBird Digital Art. Let him know that you heard about him on the iConis podcast, and he'll help you out once you mention us. Okay. And of course, we mentioned Larry Recklazado. Keep in mind that he's also got another Facebook group, which is Forgotten, Underrated, Obscure Heroes. So it's a big group. Everyone loves sharing stuff like that there. So respect the rules, respect the page, and you'll have a good time and learn a lot there. And you'll see us posting. So that is that. Real quick, Rod, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on the World Wide Web of Instagram at Mr. Rod C. MRRODC. Also find me in the world of Twitch at DJ Rod C. Listen, you can find me all over. I'm on Fire Radio Network, on TuneIn Radio on Thursdays. Listen, we're moving, grooving, more to music. Stay tuned. A lot's happening in 2026.
Absolutely, a lot is happening in 2026. So I'll let you all know. I was living in Toronto with the whole family. And now we've all moved to Montreal. So once again, you're in Montreal. You'll be seeing more things coming up. So let you know a couple of changes before we kind of get into the subject matter. One, we've kind of put together a schedule on where things that pop up because we like to talk about a lot of different things. So if you want to be interested in all that, make sure you have your notifications on. But going forward, and it might not happen every week. So let's break it down. On Mondays, I'll do the inner ideas, right? The iConis inner ideas. So these are quick clip videos that you might see, like we talked about Wolverine and what makes me laugh. And things like that, Hawkman and Hawkwoman having a son. So those little short videos you'll see there. On Tuesdays, we drop the main podcast, that you're seeing me and Rod on, and when we have our guest on. So this is our bone of the podcast where we fancast everybody. Wednesdays is gonna be a new thing we start, is what we read. So what we read, what we watch, right? We want to promote people going to comic book stores, having that passion. And it's not all about money and transactions of this book worth this book is worth that. We want to call out important storylines, so forth, or things to the culture that might get buried because everyone's always looking for the newness, but you got to go back to the foundation, right? Thursdays, we're going to do where does he get those toys? So Thursdays, we have toy unboxings, and you've seen some already. We're going to keep those for Thursdays going forward. YouTube shorts with Larry and ourselves, that will happen randomly. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And other videos, we will be putting up some videos just for our Patreon supporters to kind of get that going. So check out our Patreon page. Right now, there's only a couple of videos. They're old. We will have some new ones very, very shortly. So, keep your notifications on. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and share. Let the show be a secret. And here we go. We are talking about Wonder Man. So I'll say a couple of things, and Rod, I'll let you lead off. I know you got a couple of points in your head. So I'll say this. One, Wonder Man, the series, I was skeptical about it at first because I didn't know how it was going to be. Wonder Man doesn't really have any big rogues gallery. He's a very powerful character, but he always ended up in a secondary or third row kind of
Yeah.
thing. If you were in a minivan, he's all the way in the very back in the third row seat. This is where Wonder Man sits. Okay, so he doesn't have a major rogues gallery. And then they race swapped them. So I'll say this first. I'm more of a purist when it comes to these things. I like the character to be
Hmm.
the character they are. There's enough color characters of color that you can give another original series on. So I went in very skeptical, thinking no rogues gallery, and you race swapped the actor with a character that I know, and then I know what his history is supposed to be, and obviously there had to be some changes that we saw. I'll say this: it won me over. I was surprised. I binged it. It was an easy watch. And I'm happy that Disney has used the Marvel Spotlight brand to start building that, because the only thing we had previous under Marvel Spotlight was Werewolf by Night, which I really enjoyed. Black and white or color. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. So Wonder Man was really good under all that, and I have to admit, it won me over. At first, I was kind of let me watch this, see how they're gonna do the culture. I mean nerd culture, what culture, how they're gonna do that, because I still very rare you hear me say something, but I still had Ironheart in my mouth, and I was like, hey. And I have to say, complete 180. Well done, Disney. Well done, Marvel.
Listen, 100%, 100%. I'll definitely like segue into the same way. Ironheart, you perfect segue to that. Ironheart, bless their soul, they're trying to segue from Wakanda, Black Panther, bring it back and give her her own spotlight. Iron Man is not here. She's new, brain on the world. She knows everything. She's the smartest kid in the world. But I agree. Ironheart it didn't tug me. It just kind of left me more like, oh, okay, oh, okay, it's Marvel. Let's make sure at least you can't criticize. You can't talk about it if you never watched it. So you got to watch it to understand. So
Yeah,
same thing now with Wonder Man. I agree. Like I didn't expect the race swap, the culture swap on that, because it was like, to me, if they're doing that, we can clearly see right now when we get through the show, this particular season. I'm rolling the dice that there's going to be something else that's going to explain more in detail why they did that. I hopefully believe I'm sure there's a reason in the back end why they changed, which is cool. The actor is great. No, 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 nothing against him or nothing along that line. It was just an interesting idea of them changing that. Now, I agree with Barry. Wonder Man. It's funny. You said he's a second, third character. He's the one in the back of the van, just chilling. He's more the guy in the back, with the cooler. I got stuff back here. Everybody want? I got. I'm in the. I got. I'm close to the cooler. Just letting you know, I'm here.
yeah,
Um, really and truly. Um, so we may get into it a little bit on the actual, Marvel side of who Simon Williams, Wonder Man is,
yeah, for
as
sure.
curious, of what he, the character that we knew him to be, brother of Grim Reaper. Mine was clone and copy for, Vision, and all that
Yes,
kind of, all that extra stuff. But it's quite interesting, like Barry said, if you know the history of it, what can you pull out from him? So it's quite interesting. But I will say, I was completely impressed. I was happy with it. Sometimes Disney, when they drop these things, they do it week by week, or they'll do, the one time drop into your lap. I will admit, I'm happy that they did that, because it was an interesting role. We're here walking in. I'll only say for me, I'm walking in there, sitting there thinking, okay, this is going to be a superhero movie in some type of way. And it wasn't as apparent as it was. It was more on the human character side building. It was definitely a character building kind of show. And I liked it. I liked it because it was just giving you a different way of thinking, like, okay, we all know from the point of view of a superhero, he has the gusto, he has the powers, he has the abilities, he's fighting crime, he's saving the world, XYZ. Good on you. What if someone actually has that, but knows that they themselves are, I could be a problem for not only myself, for people around me. So he had to be an introvert and hold everything in. And then it gets you to the mindset of, if you know, you grow up and everything like that, they always tell you don't try to hold your emotion and bottle your emotions and stuff like that. This is the same thing. Emotions slash power. He's definitely trying to bottle that in. How can you do that without not letting anything leak out? Anything leaks out, it could hurt or cause trouble. So we'll get into that. But in that mindset, by the time you start to catch on who he is and what the story is trying to present, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are doing. Interesting. Very interesting. He's trying to live a normal life. He's trying to live
Yes.
a normal, and that
Yes.
was the nice thing about it, because I'm not going to rabble on too crazy, but I mean, in the sense, like, if we go with, we know the early days of a character was, like, say, Spider-Man. He has
Mm.
his powers. He's trying to live a normal teenager life kind of scenario. The movies portray that, but never heavy. Maybe 20-30% you see Peter Parker trying to, like, he's still living, like, trying to get that dual life. Simon was really I'm trying to live my life and suppress my power. And
And you
that, very interesting.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head, right? Because with Spider-Man, right, and we'll say this as a reference. So Spider-Man, Peter Parker always has his uncle's words in there. So one, his uncle died because he didn't do anything, and then his uncle's words of "with great power comes great responsibility," and that's what promotes him to be that way. So if he didn't have
Correct.
his uncle tell him that, and if his uncle was, let's say his uncle never gave him that phrase, and his uncle survived, would we get the Spider-Man we know today, or would we get Peter
Fair.
Parker more self-serving? Because he starts off more self-serving until he loses his uncle. And that
Fair.
tragedy with his last words from his uncle is what promoted him to change his course. One sentence in a person's life can make a big difference, right? This is why you
Mm.
always got to be careful of what you say to people, because you never know what they will how they'll take it. And I mean this a good way or whatever in the real world. So with Wonder Man, let's just say I'll go keep it short. In the comic books, Simon Will Sam, Wilson, Simon makes his appearance,
Williams.
right?
Yep.
So he gets his powers from Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo goes whatever long story, gives him his powers. He
Mm-hmm.
wants him to infiltrate the Avengers. He goes in there playing that he's a hero to be really a double spy to bring them down. Feels bad and goes against Baron Zemo to stop the Avengers from being taken out by him. And
Right.
during that battle, he sacrifices himself. Oh, they think he's passed away. Find out, no, he's in a coma. Then Hank Pym, good old Hank Pym, always causing trouble, copies his brainwaves into a computer and keeps them. And then when the Vision makes his appearance, and that goes through that storyline, I'm talking comic book, makes his appearance in the comic books, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of wipe his mind. They take, Simon's brain patterns and they put it into the Vision. Vision comes back. So keep in mind, even though he's a Vision, it kind of connects him and Simon in the comic book somewhat like brothers. But at the
Yes.
same time, when Simon comes out of his coma, he sees a Vision and he sees Scarlet Witch, and he's like, oh man, he's very interesting. But the Vision is already dating her because the Vision has the exact same thoughts. So the same things that would appeal to Simon appeal to the Vision because it's a carbon copy paste of their brain pattern. So they're going to have the same likes and dislikes going forward. Simon,
Right.
being the bigger man at the time, says, hey, okay, you're already spoken for. I don't want to make this weird. I'm out. And he does
Yep.
his own thing. And then he uses his powers to be more, this is when he had his green costume and so forth. And he's kind of transitioned to the red jacket. He, he, he says, oh, I like being an Avenger, but I like show business. I got the show business bug. So that's calling me. So he goes there and he becomes a stuntman in Hollywood, does a couple of movies and cameos and soap operas. And the thing is, he does his own stunts because, oh, well, they don't have to pay a stuntman to drive a car off a cliff. But they can have Simon do it while he's in a movie playing his role. And guess what? Save money on the stuntman. And it works out well because you can't injure Simon in a conventional manner, right? So this works on to his whole thing. His brother, his older brother, becomes the Grim Reaper, and there's a whole hassle there. Now, keep in mind that his family owned a munitions company. I'm talking in the comic book. His older brother was the one running it. It kind of started going under. Simon got blamed for certain things. Then him and his brother Eric got into a fight. Eric becomes a Grim Reaper. Boom, and that's where he becomes the villain. Eric goes from being Eric to the Grim Reaper and so forth. And they were raised in Jersey, right? So that's the short answer of it. So this is why the Grim Reaper, Wonder Man, and Vision are all combined. Okay, great, got it. Then we had, and I'll say this now for the MCU, the
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus shows. If you watch WandaVision from when it first came out,
Yeah,
a
I was
lot of
gonna say
Easter
that.
eggs
Yeah.
in that. And the main thing you have to remember is that when you look at the opening sequence and it's all drawn and they're going through a side scroll of the house, like how they did in The Simpsons, and you see things between the floorboards, you see the Grim Reaper's helmet in there. So it was almost foreshadowing that they're going to bring in the Grim Reaper. And if you have the Grim Reaper, you have to have Wonder Man. We didn't know he was going to be black, white, what race. We just saw that there. And it makes sense for the fact that he's connected to the Vision. Now, the MCU version of the Vision, totally different. No brain waves have been shared or compiled back and forth. So if you take that out there, then what the Scarlet Witch
What's
and
left?
Vision are still together. They still have their kids. All that was there, minus the Wonder Man element. So
Yeah.
them putting it in was different. Um, and I will break down the episodes real quick. What I liked with this show is he's not trying to be a hero. His main
Right.
focus is to be an actor.
Yes.
And it goes back to Peter Parker, Uncle Ben, right? His dad turns around and said, hey, his dad dropped him to school, he saw Simon's look. You could tell this kid was being a bully. Said, hey, Simon, I guess you're not feeling well today. You got a cough. And he spent a day with his dad. So they
Yep.
dropped off Eric and he spent a day with his dad. His dad took him to see his favorite movie when he was a kid, which was Wonder Man back in the day. And his dad says, oh, the effects are cheesy. But when I first came to America, this is the first movie I wanted to see. And I fell in love with this movie. And he shares the Wonder Man part with his dad. He got caught up with it just like his dad did. Then his dad says, I believe in you. I saw you in the play in school. It was really good. And Simon's like, oh, you mean the play? He went, no, you. I can see you being on the big screen. I can see you being an actor. You have to pursue this. Okay. And this is where we get Simon grown
There
up.
we
So
go.
from a little
There we go.
kid grown up, there's
Mm-hmm.
a couple of things that you got to keep us the small. The devil is in the details, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
And when we see grown up Simon, and if you think about the flashback, you see Simon is driving his dad's car all the time throughout the series. That Toyota Corolla, the blue Toyota Corolla, is his dad's car, not
Yep.
his. Right? I mean, it's his now, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time, you see Wonder Man is the passion project for him. Like you've heard me all talk about Micronauts, you heard me all talk about Gatcha Man and Guyver. If someone came and said, Barry, we want to put you on one of these shows, wow, I'm running with bells and whistles on. So this is Simon's whole thing. Being in the arts and entertainment business, I can understand and I can relate to. It was a great insight for auditions and how actors might be a little bit eccentric and go for roles and how everyone prepares a little bit differently. And that was beautiful to see. And I think they really did a
Mm-hmm.
good job. So, not to give away, but of course, there's now a big division between Simon and, and Vision. So, once again, influenced by his dad, we don't know what happened to his dad. We just know his dad has passed away.
Right.
They, they never address how. So Spotlight looked at it, said he doesn't have a rogues gallery. We're going to humanize the bejesus out of this character
Yep.
and really make you care about him. And then when you watch those 8 episodes, you go on a journey from seeing him really being an introvert, a little bit self-serving,
Yeah.
to now opening up and trying to help others because he didn't know. He always had to keep himself a wall on himself, and he was misunderstood
Mm-hmm.
to be that way. But it was because of his power. So he has power. They do demonstrate it. You do see him use it. The one thing I would say is an interesting tidbit is they didn't make him an altered human, right? They made him, in my opinion, a mutant.
Correct.
All right, then.
Yeah.
So Go on, Rod, and then we'll get into these episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Listen, I agree. There's certain things there. Um, we'll like we said, we'll get through the stories, but definitely seeing Simon character change and build. To me, I was going to say it later, but I'll say it now. And you mentioned about his father. It was definitely his father was the person that was giving him was the pinnacle. I mean, just the launching pad for him to do this. And I feel it's more of not only for him. He loves that he has an acting bug. Like you say, you can see on the flashbacks when he's watching the movie, you see the clip of the father looking at him, focused on that. And you hear him say when he's older, listen, I know everything. I know every line, every mannerism, every monologue of that movie. So that means it wasn't the first time he got older. It just means he constantly watched that. I
Yes.
always, at the end of this, that this was definitely more of a memento. Let me reverse it and say it. Reference back to Peter Parker and Uncle Ben.
Mm.
That movie was his. It was that was his focal point. Like if you're
Yes.
thinking, you're gonna say like, oh my gosh, I just had a mental thought real quickly from like the TVA. Like this is the anchor point.
Yeah.
That was the anchor point for him. So he wanted to please his father. His father had believed in him to be an actor. That was why he said, you know what? I'm all in. I'm all gun in to make his father proud. Because when we jump to the end, when his father, I mean, when the brother Eric was saying, Dad would be proud of you, it should be known throughout the house that the father was into movies and into acting and along that line and always pushed and supported Simon. And I feel that everybody knew that that was the reason why Simon was into he wanted to be an actor to fulfill like a dream or like a personal promise for his father that he can make it because his father sees him as that. My father sees me as an engineer. I'm going to be an engineer. My father saw me as a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor. My father saw me as an actor. I'm going to be an actor. Um, so for me, everything was tied in. You were mentioning about the car. You even remember the mother was saying, spoilers, small spoilers, but like he was always committed to try to ride a bike, like ride his father's bike.
Yeah.
Anything to stay connected to his father. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
Anything that his father liked, anything that his father, you know, persuaded or promoted him in, he just wanted. This is the best way for him to hold on to that his memory of his father. Um, you're right. We don't know what happened to him. I hope. I'm sure we will hear it in season 2. And yeah, yeah. Let's get into it because I'm trying to not jump all over the place with it,
Oh, yeah. No problem. No problem. Okay. All right.
but
So,
that's it.
all right. Sounds good. So, once again, maybe we should have said this at the very beginning. Heavy spoilers. Heavy, heavy,
Heavy.
heavy spoilers. So, if you haven't watched it, now is to jump off and watch one of our other episodes on something else. Trust me, we have a lot of episodes on everything we've mentioned before in the opening. So enjoy. Okay. And on that, we proceed. Indeed. So in episode number 1, it's called right? And we meet Simon Williams, and overall, because like, Simon is struggling. He's a struggling actor, for auditions, and he wants to do a remake for the in-universe Wonder Man. Now, I know they showed a poster of Wonder Man before and other MCU projects when Nathan Fillion was Wonder Man,
Mhm.
and that still kind of works because once again, they're saying that Wonder Man is not a hero. Wonder Man is a actor playing this character, Wonder Man. Like someone was the actor playing John Carter, Warlord of Mars.
Right.
you know, and he meets it. So during this whole process, he turns around and he meets the eccentric Trevor Slattery. So Trevor is played by Ben Kingsley. What a great
Mhm.
pairing. So why is Ben Kingsley in this series? If you look enough, you'll see the director that was behind Wonder Man also worked on Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. They liked the character from when he was introduced in Iron
Iron
Man.
Man 3.
So
Yep.
they liked the character from there. That they were all a fan. Like the one shot that he did, with the Ben Kingsley's in jail and and they're going through those characters. So the whole project originally was not even supposed to be Wonder Man. It was supposed to be on Trevor Slattery and Ben Kingsley's character. And then they kept writing, and it evolved to be Wonder Man. So it was supposed to be pretty much a solo project, and
Mm-hmm.
then it evolved into what we got today, and them going for Wonder Man. So once again, they made it very human. This is what it goes down to. Now, in episode one, we see a couple of things. So there's also Easter eggs. You know, Marvel loves putting Easter eggs for the hardcore fans and maybe the casual fans when they find out, say, oh, that's kind of cool. So one of the Easter eggs you'll find out is Simon lives in apartment number 9, right? Which is a direct nod to his first appearance in Avengers issue number 9.
Yep.
That's right. So if you go back to WandaVision, you saw the helicopter with the number on it. I think it was 47. That was the Vision's first appearance in the Avengers comic book, was issue number 47. So it's to show you that how far Simon goes back. Avengers issue number 9, right? That if you want to add that to your comic book list, that's something you got to go down to your comic book dealer and add it to your list just to say, hey, I had a first appearance of a character. It's going to look different than what you see now. We understand. We know. So that was, I think it was really cool. Then you had a poster for the musical, for Rogers the musical. So that was the Steve
Yep.
Rogers, Captain America musical. Yep. And it's seen on the lot of studio number 9 or where they were filming it. So as I said, we went over the origin differences between, Simon Williams, how he gets his powers and turns crime after failing to compete with Stark Industries. So the show has the actor already himself in possession of his hidden powers. So this is why I say he's a mutant. And when you go further down, he was never experimented on. No one took him aside.
Right.
That was the break of it. And it starts with Eric, not Eric, Simon. Simon going to do an audition. He's on American Horror Story. He's on set, and you see he's an overthinker, and he wants to do the best he can. And it's like, can we make one change? Can we make one change? And he was good for the first couple of changes, but he made so many changes that he was proving difficult to work with that he whacked himself right out the role. He got fired.
Yep. I'll tell you, when I was watching him, I'm like, say, okay, the first few, I'm like, Simon, stop. Simon, stop.
Yes.
Stop, guy. Stop. Guy, you know what? You ain't working. That's all I'm telling myself. Like, you're done. You're done. I'm like, any moment, I'm waiting for someone to come and say, yeah, it's not working out. And sure enough, the producers just say, you know what? We're not going to use that character anymore. So I was like, goodness. But it gives us an understanding of how someone can think of it as being very dedicated, maybe a little overwhelming, but it just shows, we realize later on, it's his method of getting into a role. He's really into it. And certain things, it's like, okay, there is no need to think about that for a 5-second, line. But
one line.
But
you had one job.
One line, one job. But you can just see he's dedicated. And you know what? It's okay. You live and you learn. And the funny thing is, no, but that's the funny thing. He doesn't. Until he gets a hold of Trevor. And that's, to me, is a deciding factor.
Yes. Because once again, that's another key pivotal person in his life. So he goes there, he loses the role on American Horror Story, finally gets on there, even though it was one line, it's one line in the door. And if they like you, they bring you back. He got himself out that. He gets home, driving his dad's Toyota Corolla, gets back to his apartment number 9, and he sees his girlfriend moving out, and she's like, oh, I didn't realize you'd be coming back so soon. But she didn't realize he got fired. And she's just leaving him and says, well, Simon, you never opened up to me. You were such a big introvert. We never connected. I wish you would talk, but it's not going to work out. And she's gone. So, you're really seeing the character getting kicked while he's down.
Yeah.
Then he goes to a theater, sits down to watch a movie to take his mind off of it. That's his escape. And then he recognizes Trevor Slattery, right? Like Slattery, which is Ben Kingsley's character. He recognizes him as the Mandarin. Like, people know him as the Mandarin, because that's how he presented himself back in Iron Man. So you played a terrorist, you served some time, you got out of jail, and then you ended up in a mystical village in Shang-Chi in the Ten Rings. Then you come back to our plane of existence, and you're still going about like, hey, it's all good. And Trevor Marks drops the hint of, oh, well, I'm an actor, nice to meet you. Okay, yeah. Well, what role I'm going with? Oh, well, they're redoing the movie Wonder Man. And that sets the seed.
Well, Yeah, exactly. I want to jump back to another point on there that just to show how Simon Heads works. As I mentioned before, you can clearly understand that he knew Wonder Man back to front.
Yep.
But then you start to catch on because he did mention about, if I remember correctly, I think he might have mentioned when he saw Trevor the first time about the Mandarin, but then he flips over the whole conversation and start talking about previous projects that he's done, like when he was on Coronation Street or something along that line. That was basically
Yes.
Trevor's like, wow, no, I don't even remember that. And then we know because Trevor,
He was having a
but
good time.
he's enjoying life, enjoying life. But the fact that Trevor can see you off the road, know you as an actor, know you as a legendary actor, and know your particular roles, who and what you did, and nearly gave you a good connotation of the word, even the line. Again, that shows you how mentally strong Trevor is, and I think that's why again it was the
Oh, you mean Simon?
Simon. Sorry, Simon. That
Yeah.
Simon was he's very good at what he does, but he overthought it. Like
Yes.
he'll know a character. He gets into their mind in that sense, which is great. You trying to be a method actor, but you can see that Simon never knew how to turn it off. That was the
Yeah.
problem. Simon never knew how
Yeah.
to turn it off. So, but it impressed Trevor at least to say, "Well, you're calling a character from days of old that not a lot of people knew."
He's a student of the game.
Exactly. So I'm okay with that, and I like that. That at least it shows that his dedication to his craft, and he's trying to, do stuff with his life. So I'm good with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, him and Trevor start to kind of form that rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then, we move on. Like, I mean, there's more that happens in the episode,
Yeah.
because but at least it puts him and Simon in touch with each other. And then now Simon knows, hey, there's Wonder Man. Simon goes back to his agent saying, hey, right away, how come you didn't tell me they're making a Wonder Man movie to his agent? And the actor is, who does this. He also played Black Manta in the Aquaman
Yeah.
movie. And wow, did this good on him. I'll say this sideways before getting episode 2. He is strong because he had to show growth. He had to, and then you're on the screen with Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley. And I think you did a great job. Like that
Held his own. He held his own. He held his
held
own.
and led it. Like he's the man. Ben Kingsley didn't overshadow him in the role.
Mm-hmm.
They were equal. So that's on Ben Kingsley too for realizing, hey, this is
100%.
who I am, and he played to keep it equal. So that, for the writers, the actors, the cast, everybody involved on this project, well portrayed, well done. Like, I mean, look, where you go back to Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, right? In the Batman 89. As
Right.
great as Batman 89 was, as much as people enjoyed it, at one point, Jack Nicholson's name was in bigger font on the
Yeah.
on the advertising more than Michael Keaton, because Jack Nicholson just blew out of that. He just went through that role. What's funny is you always can watch an older movie called Two Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where it's, dealing with a mental asylum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny, a tidbit, is if you look at a scene, you see Jack Nicholson is in there along with Danny DeVito. And this movie was done years ago, and Danny DeVito played Penguin, Jack
Right.
played the Joker, and these guys were
Right.
both in an asylum in a movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, together. Foreshadowing? I don't know. Arkham Asylum? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Mm-hmm.
getting back to Marvel. Oh, it puts these, they really, really well done. Well done. So we get to episode 2, and this is where it starts to kind of go through. So, Simon and Trevor have to work on it. The episode 2 is called pretty much self-tape. So anyone that's in the acting business, that's it. You have to do a self-tape to submit to get certain roles. That's how it goes about. So they have to turn around and do this. And while they're doing this, um, Simon doesn't want, Trevor to come to his apartment. So Trevor, you find out, was on an airplane. He was talking about acting, the girls, and everyone's like, I seen you someplace before? Oh, yes, I was in this movie. Oh, yes, I was on this show. And he never gets into talking about him being the head of a terrorist organization on TV as the Mandarin leader of the Ten Rings, right? So he comes off the plane, and then the DODC, those agents tackle him. Boom, bring him in, give him the whole run down 9 yards, saying, "Hey, we think there's this other guy, Simon, who's potentially dangerous as I guess I call him altered human, but he's really a mutant, and they're trying to track him down. Now, why? I don't know really why what put Simon on their radar, but they're trying to get evidence that he really is a superpowered being. So Simon must have had some things in the past that we don't really know, and he's really suppressing the power. So they get him. They said, "Hey, Trevor, option one, you never finish your jail sentence." Or option two, and then Trevor right away. Option two, option two. I'll take option two. Is like, you don't even know what option two is. Is it has anything to do with going back to jail? No. Then I'm going to do option two. So they want him to spy on Simon's character, find evidence that he has powers, and then they want to act on that. So he agrees to this before even meeting Simon. Meets Simon, realizes he's a true thespian in love for the game. And Trevor is very, he likes the attention too and sees it. So they have to turn around and do self tape. He gets, the ring, says, "Hey, Trevor, take this ring, get into Simon's apartment, just put it on the computer, and we could just kind of upload all the information on the computer, see if we can find anything about him and superpowers." Simon at one point in his apartment just kind of loses control. Like anytime he gets like really angry and his emotions hit a certain point, his power comes out. So you see that first pop, like an explosion. His eyes get this purple hue to it, purplish reddish hue, and boom. Okay, then the wall is cracked. So because he has to do the self tape, he calls, Trevor. Trevor says, "Okay, I'll help you." And Trevor trying to get into the apartment, and then Simon meets him outside, saying, "Yeah, we can't go into my apartment. Why not? Oh, it's messy. My ex-girlfriend left me. Da da da. We go to different places." And Simon gives Trevor. I mean, I know I skipped something from season episode one, but it's okay. Watch it. Gives him a take on how to do auditions.
Right.
Right, because Simon writes down notes. Okay, even though it's one line, it's, well, what's his backstory? Well, who does he know? How is this singing going to play out? I'm trying to get all these ideas of how I'm going to play the character in my head, and that's how it works. Where Simon's technique is that's Simon's technique. Trevor's technique is, okay, let me just go, do a breathing exercise, clear my mind, and go.
Right.
And just be natural. And that works for their techniques work for for each other. But now Simon's trying to learn Trevor's technique, but Trevor's teaching him. Like Trevor offers to teach him, not to screw him over, but to really get him further.
Yeah.
So, this is what we see. So those things we see is like, in Trevor's apartment, we see Zanuck, which is a movie poster, and that's from a movie poster from season 2 from Loki, and references Ben Kingsley real world worlds like Gandhi and Coronation Street.
Correct.
Wow.
And the great thing about it at that point, again, Simon is seeing all these stuff and he's just pulling information, dropping notes on that to Trevor, letting him know that, I know your work. I know the skill set that you are. You're legendary in this town. You know things. So this again, you can see this is where Trevor is starting to Simon's slowly trying to catch on that I might be able to learn something from this guy.
Yeah.
I might be able to this guy is actually being genuine. He's helping me out, and his techniques and his motivation just seems so genuine. I may be able to learn something from this guy. I may need to just stick around him a little bit more, and that's why it works out in that realm. That like we said, we're talking about the auditions and stuff along that line. To me, it turns out to be a good method acting choice, and not choice, sorry, path is what I want to say. Because the great thing about this show, we're learning something from an actor's point of view. And I was seeing online other people who are actually in the field, in the business. They're saying like, what they're doing is nearly like 100% real. Like everything is practically the whole type of attitude going to an audition, and the amount of people who are out there just in their mind, just trying to navigate and just trying to focus and stuff like that. Everything just seems as authentic as possible. So you're getting a real view from the back end of how actors have to prepare, get themselves motivated, get themselves focused for an audition for a part, just to
Absolutely.
make it day to day.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll shout out the people that have been on the show before. So, for example, Derwin Jordan, right? Actor, he
Yep,
definitely this is what he does. Thomas Patrice, actor, this is what he
yep,
does. Paul Ash, actor, this is what he does, right? And I
yep.
know we still have to have our boy Zeus come on here, Zeus Fleming, because he's an actor. And I've spoken to them outside of obviously this podcast, and and they've told me this is what they have to go through to kind of get the role. So I definitely see the
Hmm.
thoughts do line up on the page.
Yeah.
So that's what, like I said, that was really interesting. They kind of did that, and you, you know, uh, I like that. So then we jump over to, let's say, episode 3, for example, right? Episode 3 is Tomo. Now, this is interesting because the character has been race swapped. They did a full episode on this character doing exploring his Haitian heritage because the character is
Hmm.
Haitian in
Yep.
this MCU. Okay, so they make the character Haitian. He turns around and he's having a family dinner. So he brings Simon over to the family dinner. And this is the first time in the episodes that we really get to see his mom, his brother, so Eric, for the first
Yep.
time, makes his
Yep.
Korean appearance in episode 3. And the family's speaking Creole. They and coming from a West Indian background and knowing people of Haitian descent and seeing how they interact in families and talk. And that is
100%.
so natural. That whole like when they have to give you bad news, they're kind of shocked. They're like, they go, "Oh my goodness!" They go, and how they talk. That is 100% how it goes around. So between the food, the background, the how they intermingle with each other, even to the
Yeah.
point of trash talking, where they're speaking Creole, they're talking about Simon
In front
in
of
his
him.
face, and he's right in front of them, saying, "Oh, look how he's dressed. Come here. He doesn't even dress nice for his mother's birthday." But they're speaking in Creole, so which is like kind of French-ish, you know. And when they're going into all that, Simon's like, I might not speak it, but I fully understand it. Oh, hey, Simon, we are sorry. We did not mean, and he walks away. Now, the fun thing in this episode is you hear things about him when he's young, like how um, he was riding his bike, hurt himself, everything was fine. And then the fire.
Yeah.
This
In the
Trevor
kitchen.
is
Yep.
going around trying to find information on Simon so he doesn't go back to jail,
Right.
and talking to family members and see some of them as being rude, see how Simon is being cast as an outcast, and really starting to have, even though he's trying to save himself, he's getting more sympathy for the character.
Yeah.
And that's where certain points come out. Like they talk about the fire at the house when he was young.
Hmm.
You get the flashback as him as a kid in his teens.
Yep.
Uh, so fire happens, no damage to Simon. You see his clothes burnt and there's holes in his clothes, but he's fine,
Yep.
100%. And even the doctor during this flashback said he's a healthy young man. And they go, and his mom is like, can we run tests? Do we have to run tests? He's like, there's no need to run tests because if we run tests, she was kind of hinting that if the tests are run, it would be out there. Like, I think the doctor recognized that Simon was a
Um,
potential mutant
right. Something
and trying to
special
keep
about him.
him under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So smart,
No,
smart.
no, 100%, 100%. Like, that's an ally. You have an ally. They didn't even realize I had an ally in that situation. I'll even say, like, going back to, not even saying going back, even it'll be afterwards when they were saying happy birthday for the mother and everything like that. You can clearly see how much of an introvert, how much of a loner Simon was. He grew up just being a loner by himself. Again, it just shows that everybody seemed to navigate to Eric, to everyone except Simon. Simon
Yes.
always, even in the midst of everybody, he was still a loner. He was still a family outcast, and they're just like,
He's his own island. Yeah.
he's an old island. He's an old island, and you can see that. And the great thing too that it was well portrayed that not only us as the viewers picked it up, but Trevor picked it up.
Yeah.
So this was also great showing that Trevor has a heart. He actually is being as genuine as possible, and you can see that now he's literally trying to balance out: is it worth me doing this to harm this guy or not? Because it's like, I don't see him being a potential threat. I don't see nothing wrong with him type of scenario.
Exactly. And then that's where we get that first demonstration of like that for the audience and everyone included of
Mm-hmm.
Simon's power. Because, after everything is said and done, Eric was so proud of, look, mom, I redid the kitchen for you where the fire took place. Mother's very appreciative because Simon, you know, this is where his powers became about. So in this, his brother started ranting on, oh, you got fired from another role. Oh, you're not going to do this. Oh, you're letting everyone down. Oh, and just started really
Railing
berating
into
him,
him. Yeah.
railing into him. And Simon's like, plop, stop, please stop, please stop. And once again, I this is where you see Eric could be like that Grim Reaper villain. He
Right.
knew that if he pushes his brother enough, he's gonna lose his temper. And if he loses his temper, what happens? And right there, just as he got the kitchen redone, he pushed Simon a little too much, and he
Yeah.
slams down on the slab on the island and just
And,
destroys it.
right. But here's the beautiful thing about it. Again, it shows that Eric knew that he has that he has a power.
Oh yeah.
Because the mother was as well at the same time was telling, okay, stop it, stop it. You're getting him agitated. Stop, stop, stop. So the mother is trying to calm down, trying to, stop Eric from provoking Simon. So to me, when I see that, and after when it happened, no one was more or less like saying, wow, what did you do? Versus, there he goes again. So
Yeah.
it's more or less, he has power, he has certain abilities. And the mother was trying to calm him down because she knows there's a tipping point at a certain point, not thinking the island's going to get destroyed, the kitchen going to destroy, people are outside or whatever the case may be. Because luckily enough, it was just the four of them in the kitchen towards the end of the night.
Yep.
Like you said, we've been through family gatherings and stuff like that. I'm sure everybody has where there's still some people lingering. There's still people lingering outside. So, so that was one thing about that. I'm like, they're not mentioning that afterwards. Like, it's okay. Lucky enough, I guess it was literally at the end of the end of the end of the night. But to me, it was the mother was just she knew her child. She loved her child off. She
Yep.
loved her baby. They loved her like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that Simon always felt, I can't reveal myself. I can't be myself because anything happens. Something will always happen when I just let myself go. If I bring down my guards. And sure enough, that night, he just had enough of Eric's taunting. And there he goes. But while enough,
Music
he
makes
just
me
like,
lose control.
uh, uh, and you see enough, he just got upset, just like, and just walked off. That shows me the family knows this is the potential issue. Eric, you should have known better than to push
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. And just had it redone. And no, the mom wasn't upset. She wasn't pissed off that the kitchen just got redone and it got destroyed again. She took it
100%.
all with stride. She
Yep.
laughed. She tried to be the true loving mom. And this is the first time that Trevor Slattery, Ben Kingsley's character, sees
These.
power in action.
Yeah.
Now, and then of course, this is where they get the call back that because they have auditioned for Wonder Man and the secondary character, which is Barnaby, that's in there. And they both get the call saying, hey, the agent's like, I've been trying to reach you guys. You got another audition with the actor, sorry, with the director
With the director,
behind
Kovac.
the project for Wonder Man. So even leaving, and he finally gets a cell phone reception, he gets that message. And in that moment, Trevor looks at Simon and says, oh, stop the car, I gotta pee. And he had a recording device and he went out and he broke the USB card, like
Yeah, the
the
SIM
memory
cards for
stick,
that.
the SIM card. And he broke it and destroyed it. And that was that was the end of that.
Yeah, that's what his deciding factor in realizing I can't turn this guy in. This guy doesn't deserve the type of treatment that the DODC is trying to place against him. He's not
Right.
that type of person. So
No,
I can't be part of this no more. I can't be part of this no more. So
absolutely not.
I'm happy. You're happy when you see that. You realize that this is when Trevor just becomes more human. Not say more human, but he just realizes like I can't participate in this no more. I can't. Me going to saving myself from jail is not worth it. So
And he's trying. And the thing is, with the DODC, we've seen them before. So we've seen that facility where they're going to hold the prisoners before. We've seen them in She-Hulk,
yeah.
right? And there was another. I can't remember the other series where they made their first appearance, where they showed that prison.
The prison. Well, I know they themselves were DODC was with Spider-Man.
Yes.
Um, is it? I'm trying to remember which one it was though. Trying to remember
We'll pop
which
it
one
out.
it
Or
was,
if you
but
guys
yeah,
remember,
yeah,
put
yeah.
it down in the comments
But it was
below.
in Spider-Man. Yeah, it was in Spider-Man. But that
Okay.
was it.
So Spider-Man and She-Hulk. I know definitely it was the She-Hulk series because that's where she went and met the Abomination,
Correct.
where she was being a lawyer, Jennifer Walters. Okay, so that takes care of that part of it. Now here's what was complete left turn. In the previous
Mm-hmm.
episodes, you hear anytime they're going for audition, they either all actors have to get screened or they have to sign a paper saying I do not have any powers,
Right.
right? And they know it as the DeMar Davis clause.
Yeah.
Now, at first, I didn't catch the name DeMar Davis. I'm like, okay. And then they did episode 4 on DeMar Davis, who is Doorman. And you're like, Doorman, not DoorDash, Doorman. Yeah. And uh once again, in the MCU, how they wrote the episode, they made it make sense. So DeMar Davis is a hero known as Doorman. Literally, his powers are connected to the dark matter universe. So the same places where uh,
Cloak.
Cloak from Cloak and
Mm-hmm.
Dagger draws his powers out, and other heroes draw those powers out when it comes to the darkness. He's connected to that, and
Yeah.
he can use his powers as his body to be a door, a portal to either go into that dimension or to pass through and come back in our dimension, like a teleportation kind of thing. So it was a whole episode on DeMar Davis. He starts off as a nice guy. So I'll say this: he was not race swapped. DeMar Davis, even in a comic book, is of African American descent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's working in there as a doorman at this one particular bar that everyone's going in. And what's nice is that you saw other actors playing themselves. So if you
Yes.
look at our community page, you'll see that we've also put some things up there for that on here on YouTube. Have a good laugh with it. I know I did. So Josh Gad was in there. You recognize him from Lost and other TV projects, and becomes friends. So Lamar is working as a doorman at the club. A fire breaks out at the club. Now, prior to that, he goes to his apartment, and the owner of the club says, "Hey, Damar, you've been here for all these months. You never seem to ask for anything more than that. Like, most people come in here because it's in Hollywood. You come in here because they're looking to be an actor. They're looking to be this. They're looking to be that.
It's
And
a
that's
stepping
been,
stone.
yeah, they use it as a stepping stone. And for him, he was like, no, I just want to work and go home to my dog, and that's it. I'm happy in what I do. I don't need to be anything else. So he was happy in that role, in that moment. He reached and aspired to where he wanted to be. I get to talk to nice people, I meet actors, but I'm not trying to be anybody.
Right.
And then he goes out at one point, he takes out the garbage at the back, dumps in a container, he sees this black substance coming out of the container and going on the floor. He goes to touch it, and that's where everything went wrong. Now, if you see the name on the container, it's Roxanne, Roxanne
Yep.
Oil, right? This is a corporation in the Marvel universe that has been around for years, and
Yep.
they've shown up in other MCU projects, but we haven't seen no one come from them yet. So they're tied to, if you look at the comic book, they do get ties with Alpha Flight. They do get ties with Deathlock, who we covered on this show before. They
Mm-hmm.
have ties, of course, now in the MCU with Doorman, but they are a kind of a not kosher organization. On the front, they seem to be an energy company, oil company, and they have their hands in other things. But beneath the surface, they're trying to find powers and people that have powers, and to have them under their rule to use them or sell them or however it is. And I think we need a full they got to bring them more in the forefront as opposed to just being the background, being a sign, or an organization. They need someone to tie this in together and get into that more. But that's outside of the series. So he goes, he touches the substance, he goes home, and then he goes to take a nap. And next thing you know, boom, he wakes up, he's someplace else. Like, where the heck am I? Right? He goes to look for his dog, can't find his dog. He hears his dog now. It's another person's apartment. He gets in there, you know, and it kind of parlays to him getting back in the club and trying to figure what's going on. Fire happens at the club, and he's trying to open the door, and he can't get it open, and he phases through the door, and he's inside, and he didn't even realize his power worked. He goes, "Hey guys, I finally got the door open," and everyone's staring at him because the door is still closed. Keep in mind, they saw him just pop out of nowhere.
Right.
Right. And then he's like realizing what was happening, goes, "Okay, you got to go through me." And Josh Gad goes through him and is like, "Hey guys, it's a safe way out. Let's go." He saves everybody. All right. So far, the story is good. They start calling him, doorman, because he was the bouncer, the doorman at the club. And now he's got this power that lets him go through. So he goes by doorman. And then he starts getting into the fame of everything, becoming, you know, uh, because of Josh saying, "Hey, stick with me, man. I'll pay you so much money." He goes, "Oh, no, I'm here, happy here. It pays 200,000 plus this." "Okay, yeah, you're good." And that's where he goes into it. He goes into his 15 minutes of fame, showing up on TV shows, being part of movies. And you see his trajectory go from starting to be popular. He's got a catchphrase like almost like Urkel, "Did I do that?"
Right.
It was Ding Dong, right? Like, and on all these shows. And then it started going downhill. He started
Yeah.
drinking excessively. He's losing the fame. People are making fun of him. He's seeing the hate as a celebrity, and you see that hate going up online. People saying, "Oh, your 15 minutes is up," and all that. There's still a person at the end of the day, and it's still affecting him, and that's where he wasn't prepared for. And then he gets a second chance to be on this other movie, a sequel with Josh Gad, and then Josh, as a movie, was supposed to throw things through him and then jump through him. Josh jumps in him just when
He wasn't
Lamar.
feeling too good. Yeah, he was. For that particular scene, he wasn't feeling too good. Every time they threw stuff into him, it just felt like the closest visual I could think. He's having like an upside stomach. He's like, I don't feel good, but still action. I still got to be here. Okay, do it. And then on that last one, he's like, "I think I'm going to hurl. I ain't feeling good." At the moment, Josh Gad went through, and as I said, he went through. He went in, never came out.
Oh,
Never
nope.
came
This is
out.
when, but DeMar was drinking heavy. So,
What you said? Could that be part of it?
so that was it. So this whole episode's going to that. Now, keep in mind, why is does he seem like this character? When I said that Wonder Man was in, as Rod put it, in the back of the SUV holding the coolers, Doorman is the one who missed the bus. He's like, he's such a small character, but he's part of a team called the Great Lakes Avengers. You have Avengers, which are based in New York, and everyone knows, okay, Thor and Captain America and Iron Man and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Then you have West Coast
The West
Avengers,
Coast.
which was started with Hawkeye, because Hawkeye gets pissed off, leaves the main Avengers team, starts his own Avengers team, out in California. They call it West Coast Avengers, and then gets them on the charter. And then there's another team that calls themselves the Great Lakes Avengers. So Doorman is the second person, if memory serves me right, that we've seen from this team. The first one, which was Mr. Immortal or Immortal Man, Mr. Immortal, shows up in She-Hulk.
Yep.
And she's defending him. And so he's also part of the Great Lakes Avengers. So that's two people. And we know Avengers Doomsday is coming up. Are they going to play a role? We'll see. So this is where it comes into part of it. So there's a difference with its origin, and the background and it from the comic book and the series, but it's still interesting that they brought in another character that from the Great Lakes Avengers. So that's whole thing with Doorman, and this is why there is the Demir Davis clause that you can't have superpowers be on set, because he was on the set, and all we know is DeMar, and they said it is that they have him in a facility, they're monitoring him every day. And Josh Gad has not returned. Now, the writers and the director at an interview, and people say, "Hey, what's happening with Josh Gad's character in AMCU? Will we ever see him again?" And all they said was, "Yes, yes, you will." Which means I'm not sure if we'll be going into the dark universe and see him there, or he actually comes outside of Doorman. And the question is, where's Doorman? It's most likely he's at the DODC's holding facility,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in there for life, like the NWO. So now, a couple more to go. We get to episode 5. They call it found footage, right? So Simon and Trevor hunt for a kid. So this one, they're walking out. They're very happy. Simon says, "Hey man, let's go out and celebrate. We got, you know, the dishes are for Wonder Man. At least we're a step here going forward. Let's go out and
Mm-hmm.
celebrate." And Simon's like, "No, no, no. We should go and get some rest. We should go and get some rest." No, 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 no. So they go out, they celebrate, have a good time, and then people from Trevor's past show up. Kind of, "Hey, Trevor, remember me?" "No, mate. No, I don't." "Oh yeah. Well, you owe me X amount of dollars for these X amount of illegal drugs that you used during your party phase." And they take him out, start roughing him up. And at one point, this is the only friend that Simon has
Right.
from his point of view. And he's like, "Well, you can't beat up my friend. You are obviously someone with ill intent, with bodyguards." And you see Simon grab one and ragdoll him, save Simon. But in the distance, there's a kid with a GoPro who records Simon using his powers. And you see the purple hue go over Simon's body.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole episode is chasing this kid down to get back that footage.
Yep.
And this kid is like, "Well, I need you guys to go and get back my motorcycle because I was working with these people and they're cutting me out of the business. If you don't do it, I'm going to upload it from the GoPro straight to YouTube." And now Simon and Trevor, I don't know if that's possible or not. You can't,
Right.
you need a computer to upload anything from YouTube. Eh, Uh, you can't do it straight from the GoPro itself. They don't know that, so they get roped into this. And the whole way the episode's going, you think that they're going to hit like some like a Breaking Bad situation. Someone's at home making illegal stuff, and you find out all they're doing is making like peace.
Yeah. Well, no, the funny thing is the guy misinterpreted the whole scenario. They're saying, "I want you to steal back my bike." They steal back my bike. They stole it from me. And when you
Yes,
get there and you realize, and no, he never stole it. He and I were partners. That's my bike, and he does. I don't owe it to him. Like what? And all that kind of scenario. So now you're putting Trevor Simon's getting more annoyed because I'm like, I really because of you, Trevor, because of illegal actions you've done in the past has come to haunt you. Now I have to come and save your butt. Thank you. And now we got to chase all over Hollywood just to find a kid to get a GoPro. And now I got to steal back a bike that's not even his. And oh my goodness, the headaches. But then isn't it wonderful that at this point the illegal people decide to hunt you down and realize, oh, Trevor, where are you, Trevor? You're in that house. Come on out. We still got business to finish. We got an unfinished business. Hilarious. Hilarious. This is it's I like the joke that this whole scenario just turns into like a mini comedy. Like we got very serious throughout the all the other episodes and everything like that. This was a very nice little funny little kicking gag, like like as you can see, well, when you see it, you'll see at the end when they're running off, they're like a bunch of kids like, okay, we gotta split right now. Because at this point, what was funny was the neighbor. Thank God for
yes,
no Thank God for nosy neighbors. That's all I gotta say. Noticing like I feel there's legal drugs being in that house, and everybody keep going to that house and call the police at the moment or after the moment the ruffians, the illegal guys.
yes.
I don't know what else to say. Just the ruffians come knocking on the door, banging on the door. So it's hilarious that the great thing that no one outside was able to see what was inside as yet.
It's true. And what I'll say, what I take away from this episode that I loved the most, besides the comedy, was their whole plan to get into the house to confront them to get this stolen bike back was quoting lines from Law and Order. Dun 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 dun.
I'm telling you again, Simon is an artist. He knows things. He remembers. Like, just follow my lead. Just follow my lead. We're gonna do this episode. He's bringing on the episode while walking up the driveway. Trevor's like, what are we gonna do? Just follow me. We're gonna think we're gonna act like we're a bunch of cops. We're just gonna basically, just interrogate them and just verbally rough them up just to get inside so we can just check out the layout and that kind of stuff. Are you sure? And from episode Law and Order, season 3, episode 4. This is what was happening. And I'm like, okay, Simon, you really got a good memory. I remember a couple of lines. Come on, just trying to break himself in. Hilarious,
Oh man.
hilarious.
Okay, so now here's the other thing now. So now that was it. So now we get to like the last couple here. So we get to the episode 6, which is called Callback. So in episode 6, Simon and Trevor get the final audition to go now to be do the audition at the director's house, right? Which
Yep.
is Von Kovac. So they go to his mansion. Uh, you know, have to be, I mean, very eccentric, very over the top, and he's got other pairings of actors there. And that goes on. Now, the Easter eggs is, Von Kovac's inspiration board features comic accurate depictions of Wonder Man from 1963 and 1985, including the sleeveless black shirt and the
Yep.
red with the red accent. So that's cool. You know, um, I'll say this here for Kovac, which was one, and then while Simon did have his acting career, it was often embarrassing. So while Simon did have his acting career in the comic book, it was often embarrassing. His first role was Mr. Muscles, a caveman on a children's show. And Beast, yes, that Beast from the X-Men used to tease him about that all the time, all the time. And Kovac, once again, here he's a director. In Marvel Comics, he's a villain.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to see him, he's like half man from waist up, and then the bottom half is like he sits in a box, like a electronic box, and yeah, he leads to a weird storyline with Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel. So, there we go. So that was the name, Kovac, right? So this is what was going on. So in this episode, once again, what really stood out for me is, Von Kovac wants them to do scenes with different people, and he put Simon with a different person to play Barnaby, the older actor that's supposed to be the pairing. And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I want you to give me a scene. Simon does this beautiful scene, and then it's like, okay, that's great. I was wanting to see more of yourself instead of you quoting a scene from Pretty Woman.
Again, I'm giving it to Simon. Simon has a memory. That's great. But you shouldn't have done that, bro. You shouldn't have done that, bro. That's all I gotta
No,
say.
no, no, no. And then, of course, Simon had a little nightmare moment where he falls asleep because he was out because he never got proper rest the episode before. So he falls, at one point, he was hoping it's going to be that, but you see Simon kind of lose control and punch someone right through their head. And then he wakes up and it's like, oh, geez. So he almost didn't get the role and he asked for a second chance and he goes through and he gives a true performance. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing the character, what he's gone through, always trying to keep things on the inside. Um, when he gives that speech, he wasn't giving it as an actor. He was going back to a memory from when he was a
Right,
child and being bullied at school.
right. And
And the just that scene alone is just deep,
again,
powerful, and moving.
so here's what I liked about that whole interaction is, again, you said it earlier. Simon was asked to pair off of another, just like to bounce off another, the just to portray and just do his rendition off another actor, which he's not so accustomed to. You see earlier on that he has some flashbacks when he was doing something like that. Only the other time he felt more comfortable is when he was with his ex-girlfriend at the time, when they were showing old reels. Was only the time that you can see that he was very comfortable when he was just running his lines and everything along that line. Since then, that's when he's more introverted and pulled away from her, and everything just got lost in the sauce in that regard. Trevor was able to bring it back out to him. So when he was outside on the back, on the back porch, the balcony kind of scenario,
Mhm.
Trevor was Trevor is being genuine, trying to help him to get
Yeah.
get that character and just like, you can do this type of scenario. An earlier portion of it is when he was trying to help him through a breathing method, which was like a box setting, was like, hold your breath for like, inhale for like 4 seconds, hold
Yep.
it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. And the funny thing is, Barry, I'll tell this, that I saw that clip, and maybe a couple of days later or something like that. I don't know where, maybe on Instagram, I saw a clip. Someone was talking about the same type of method, the same type of mock method. I was like, wow, I just saw this. I just saw this. I don't know how the algorithm brought me to that, but I saw this somewhere. I'm like, that's hilarious that I just saw that. And if I saw it before, I'd be
Mhm.
like, oh, that's interesting. Now we'd be like, no, no, no. I just saw that. That makes sense. So, but the only thing what I liked about it, again, Trevor was able to pull that out of Simon. Simon was able to get into the deep of his own inner self and be able to portray
Mhm.
that particular line, not from not from the character that he was supposed to try to portray, but it seemed like literally that was just Simon talking about himself, and no one knew it, and just took it that, oh, you're really Beth. No, no, no. I went into the deeps of my inner self to pull
Yep.
that out for us. And that was what won him over.
Yep. Yep. Facts. Facts. That was, and it's another good tidbits in that episode. But I said we're just giving a brief overview. So I'm liking all this because so far no supervillains. It's really more of him having powers but wanting to be an actor. That's his motivation there. And then we get to and then at the end of the episode they finally hear, hey, Von Kovic turns around and says, you know what? Um, you guys are my Wonder Man and Barnaby. So Barnaby's a different character, but this is how it is. Cool. So they finally officially got the role.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're on set. They're going through fittings, costume fittings. So you see Trevor Slattery doing his costume fitting, and throughout this whole series, people do mention the whole thing about him being the Mandarin, right? So, when the little kids are talking about the cookies and doing that, it's like,
Yeah.
have we seen you
Oh yeah.
before, man? We saw your videos as a Mandarin. Oh, I was just playing a character. I was so high and so drunk. I don't even remember it. In the episode where that Von Kovic tells other actors, like, how do you get past playing a role like that? So they're starting to see that he did play a role. And he wasn't really a terrorist, and
Mm-hmm.
he talks about it. So he doesn't shy away from it. He does address it full on, and he's very charming. Ben Kingsley's very charming in how he portrays Trevor Slattery, and how he just kind of, hey, yeah, I did do it. It's the role, right? So then we get to episode 7 where they're on set, things are being made, right? And it's only 7 and 8 that's left, and 7 is called T. Freeman. So Kathy Freeman is an investigative reporter, and you know Simon figures, okay, after the whole team gets behind him, they say, hey, you got an interview with Kathy Freeman. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be on the New Yorker,
Yep.
or the New York,
New York Times. New
hey,
York Times.
New York Times. This is great. This is like really great exposure for you, Simon. Now you're at the top. You've made it. You and Trevor. Okay. Oh no, and then he starts freaking out and panicking because she does these pieces that can either make you or break you. So
Right.
we never see, you know, uh, Jordan Levitt, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Third Rock from the Sun, he did,
Yes.
Joseph Jordan Levitt, right?
Yeah.
Joseph Jordan Levitt. Third Rock from the Sun. He was in Batman. He was supposed to be loosely Robin,
Correct.
right? Okay, that's his middle name was Robin, but anyways, so don't know what happened with him and this pigeon. But she makes a line in there about him and the pigeon, and that's what they focus on. And he's worried that he's going to do such a deep dive into his past that it's going to
Find
come
out.
out about the powers, and that's it. Movie's done, career is done. He'll never work again as an actor. For what's important to him is over. And once
Yes.
again, it's Trevor that says, "Whoa, slow it down, calm down. Don't worry, we'll figure it out." Now, of course, the DODC is still tracing down Trevor to get information on Wonder Man, and he convinces them to say, hey, let me figure it out. I'm not doing it your way. I have to do it my way. Let me be. And trying to
Yeah.
buy himself time to think out of this. And I'll say the agent from the DODC that is chasing him down and who's heading this whole project, once
Yep.
again, is a character from the comic books.
Yep.
But in the comic book, he's black. And they race swapped him to a non African American person. So the
Hilarious.
race swap went both ways, right? Simon went from white to black, and this character went from black to, let's say, Middle Eastern. I think that's fair enough to say as a background.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Break even.
All
You're
right.
break even.
We're
We're
break
break
even.
even.
Even Steven, as Seinfeld would say. Yeah, you had to watch the episode, man. So that's what it comes into. So this is where it comes in that you do this whole thing. Trevor's like, don't worry about it. And he's like, no, man, my family's going to say something. This is what the opportunity my brother was waiting for. Eric was bring me down to, I know he's going to say something. So he goes, he does the interview, and he tries to change himself. At first, he's very being an actor. But knowing that she's coming on set, he changes his tune to say, oh, no, no, no. You don't have to get my coffee for me or my food for me. No, I get it myself. And he talks to Trevor Slattery, and Trevor says, hey, how do people like you? He goes, well, I get to know their names. I talk to them about things they like. And this is how it works. And he's like, that really works? He goes, yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. In that regard, you can clearly see that the mindset of Simon was always to be he was always sharp, very not rude, but he was very sharp with people and not believing that actually being nice can get you somewhere in life. It does, guy.
Yeah, it does. Because it does, right? Because the whole time he's been always like an introvert. So yes, so it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and then Glenn Howerton. Those are the two actors that she's called out by name in her piece that she totally goes in on. So that was the beauty of it. Now, the pivotal thing with this episode is only one episode after this, but what we find out is she has the whole thing with Simon. Simon sits there and he's waiting for the bad news. He's panicking, do the breathing exercise he was saying before, Rod, and he's waiting for Eric. And she goes, "Oh, did you talk to Well, I don't have any friends besides Trevor." She goes, "Oh, well, I talked to your mom and your brother." Huh? Your brother had lovely things to say about you because even though his brother's hard on him, his brother wants to succeed, and his brother knows he's on a big project.
Right.
Ooh, okay, that takes that off. I also talked to your ex-girlfriend. Huh? Now he starts to panic again.
Yeah.
So now we see his ex-girlfriend. So he goes and he calls her up, has a drink with her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time we've seen the ex-girlfriend since episode 1. No mention from her. That's it. So he sees her, meets her, they start talking. And she says again, it's pretty much, it's like, I'm happy for you. You see at one point he starts being self-centered, saying, oh, you got a role? Oh, I'm happy for you, but this is the role I'm doing. Right. But then he catches himself and he's like, damn, I shouldn't have gone that way. That was what led to problems of separating. And she mentions, like, Simon, I wish you always told me your secret in this episode. I understand it. I would have been more than understanding with it. I wish you trust me to tell me your secret. I would have protected you. So even though they've ended, he didn't have no thing to bring him down. Now, when she's talking about secret, Rod, you could let me know your 2 thoughts on this one, your 2 cents on this one. But I took it that she was talking to him like
she knew. She had an idea.
Oh, okay. Now, here's the thing. I talked to my brother, and he's on the same line as I. Did she talk about a secret of him having powers? Or did she think his secret was that he was in the closet?
Interesting. Honestly, I did not go that route. I was thinking that she knew there was something. She knew there was something. I watched that, like I rewind that and just watched it like a second time. I was in my mind thinking from the point of view, I guess what they were trying to imply, that she knew he had powers, but you could have felt safe with telling me your secret. Very good. Okay. I never thought to look from that angle. Now I'm gonna have to watch it a third time, just that clip, and just see if I pick that up.
Because he's thinking
Interesting.
powers, but he kept his powers under wraps.
To his own knowledge, and that's why I'm saying, to his own knowledge, he's been trying to save that as much as possible. Again, we're gonna get to another point later on where we saw the reaction. We discuss about when it was in the kitchen, whatever the case would be. We slightly talked about when he was in his apartment and the rumbling and everything along that line and the crack on the wall. I will always think that as much as you have been holding that down, he let it out. And in the span of let's try to like time stamp this from the time he met up with Trevor, went to lost his girlfriend, she moved out, whatever the case to be. To me, this was really in a span of a week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In a span of a week. So in a span of a week, he lost control, rumble in the house a bit, then broke the wall, broke his mom's island. You understand? So I'm just saying that in the span of a week, he got flustered enough that he lost control at least three times.
Yes. Now, at span of a week up to episode 7, because at one point for them to get the studio and get the movie going, it's going to take a little while,
Right,
right?
right,
So
right, right, right.
from
Exactly.
episode 1 to episode 6 could be a span of a week. I agree with you there.
Right.
Right.
And yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to say definitely, yeah. With span of a week, that's how I feel that is. So that's what I'm saying. In the span of a week, he lost control slightly a couple of times, high elevation, come back down, whatever the case to be. It's hard for me to believe that if this was your girlfriend for X amount of time, you've lived with her and everything like that, she may not have seen it, but she could have been on the other side of a wall. You could have been in the bathroom like, I'm getting flustered. Well, hold on a second. I got to go into the bathroom, whatever, just to splash water. And all she's on the other side, she's feeling some vibration. She's seeing every single time this guy gets flustered, we might get into a little tit for tat. He either runs out the building or he runs into the room to be by himself. And yes, we're in Hollywood, in California. There's some shakes and whatever the case be. Does she feel that it's just coincidental that every single time this guy goes in there, within 30 seconds, there's rumbling?
Mexican food.
It could be the food. Could be in the chicken soup. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I took that as in the span of that week, the amount of slip ups that he's done.
Yeah.
And how he's always been trying to keep up with her in the sense of trying to hold himself, suppress everything and just try not to be rude and whatever the case may be. There might be some snapbacks. I felt that she might have actually knew something and just, again, for your betterment, let's go way back to the doctor. Do we do an MRI or anything like that? No, he's okay. For the good of the colony, no. Don't do no tests on this boy. Don't do no tests on this young man, because some people may not be as easy as I to let this one slide. So that's how I took it. So even with your brother and everything like that, that's another side discussion on the side. But I'm just saying that I took it that she probably has some inkling and some ideas, maybe nothing concrete. And that's why she said, if you could have trusted me, I really letting you know I would have held on to whatever secret you had or whatever the situation is. I would have supported you. I have up to this time, because if I had some inkling, the doors could have been rushed earlier than that day. That's how I perceived it.
That's
So it
right.
can still go both ways, but that's how I envisioned that whole conversation. I just felt that it's not like a friend off the road like Trevor, who just happened to be, he doesn't have any many friends. So again, she is his only friend, colleague, ally, person who's always around him. If anything, you've been safe, but
Uh-huh.
flustered, you still have to control that power for all these years. For all these years since your father passed and since the fire, you're clearly showing that you haven't figured out the technique to control the power. You understand?
But yeah, I hear you. But how I watched it a couple of times, and that speech seems to be like a very um positive, like LBGTQ plus community speech, right? Like, because she says, I've lived with you, I've been, close to you, and you've never, well, don't forget, I've been there. So was it powers, or she thinking that maybe the reason he's so detached is because he hasn't come out the closet yet,
Okay. No, that's what I'm saying. I have to listen.
right?
That
And
particular
then
line, I've
seeing
been
him,
there. I
yeah,
might have missed that been there part. So that's why I'm
right?
saying,
And seeing that he's really been chummy in the public eye with Trevor Slattery, right? Like it might. I'm not saying Trevor falls that way, but
no. I
you
see.
know, like
But
this is the most
did
open
she?
you see him smile, and yeah, right. So I don't know
Okay,
if she did really admit it with like Trevor, but it seemed
uh,
like
but does she know about Trevor? That's the part. I don't think she knows about Trevor.
well,
If
him and Trevor hanging out is pretty much public knowledge. Like everyone sees them, and they even mentioned in the episode that Kathy was doing. She's like, "Well, yeah, you guys have been like buddy, inseparable everywhere you go. Everyone knows about the bromance." It's like, "Oh yeah, we have a big bromance with each other." So they said bromance. They didn't say romance. Okay, fine. But in Hollywood, of course, you have actors that are not out the
yeah,
closet but portray that they're
yeah.
straight, and and then the secret comes out. So I don't judge. Everyone lives their life.
No.
But
I
the way I took it, I was like, is it powers or is she thinking he's someone else? Because it's funny if she thinks that he's still in the closet, he's
mm,
thinking powers, she's thinking closet,
right,
and which could be something more for a season two or
right.
another
The break
moment or
into.
whatever. Right.
Okay.
Right. But then we find out the main thing is at the end of the episode is Kathy really goes in hard on Trevor.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh no, I've talked to your brother. I've talked to your ex-girlfriend. They said lovely things about you. You guys have been great. You've been there for each other. They all for that. But Trevor, and
Let's
then
talk about
Trevor's
you.
secret. Yeah, let's talk about you. How did you get out without finishing your prison sentence? What? How'd you do this with being the manager? And laced into Trevor being a whole kind of thing, and then hit him with the, did you make a deal to get out? And as soon as he said that, Simon's not a foolish person. He's like, wait a minute, you came
Say,
to my family, you talked to my family, you did all these things. Were you investigating me for the DODC?
yeah,
No. And that's where the truth came
yeah,
out. And they had their first major if the two of them.
yeah. Well, that was
And
after. Let's just be clear on that.
yeah,
That wasn't in front of Catherine. That was
no, that
separate.
was after. That was
At the
after.
point that Catherine was interrogating Trevor, and she's saying like, did you make a deal to get out? How come at this point you technically didn't finish your sentence? So technically you're a fugitive. Fugitive? No. What are you talking about? I'm not going to stand for all this. But you're here. How come no one is coming after you while you're here when you didn't
Yes.
finish? So the only way for you to not finish is, did you make a deal?
Did you
And
make a deal?
this is outlandish. I'm out. And as you can see, this is when, like you said, Simon is now perplexed,
Yep.
putting two and four. What? No. I know you guys are good. You guys are good
8,
friends and everything like that. You need a moment. And then he goes into Trevor's trailer and then have that conversation like, is it all real? From was anything real? Were you spying on me? And then he broke it down. But I appreciate that at least Trevor realized at some point this genie was gonna come out of this lamp like it was already coming out. It had to come out. Like
Earth cracks.
you just knew at some point. I'm surprised I've lasted this long without you knowing. But I knew at some point you're going to find out, and I knew your reaction right now is going to be what I did. It's kind of thing, the kind of scenario, you're breaking up with somebody or whatever. Like I
Yep.
didn't want to upset you because I knew this face is what I didn't want. I didn't want to see you get this upset. I don't want to see you hurt or cry. I was trying to save you from that. How are you saving me from that? How are you doing that?
That's
You
it.
spying on
Yeah. Yep.
me?
And
Oh,
that's when we get the next phase in his powers. Like he walked into the studio to let that anger out. And when he let that anger out, he
listen.
destroyed Studio 9 where they're
I'm
filming it.
telling you, I'm surprised and happy that the amount of energy that boy was walking down the road, he was walking down the alleyway to get someplace. I need someplace. Listen, we've been there, in a younger age, you get a little upset. You're like, I got to punch something. I got to punch something. Like, I need to punch something non-human, a wall, a door, a fence. I got it. I got to let it out. I'm surprised that building fall on him. For the
Even though he
amount
let it
of
out, he still controlled it a bit. So, right,
110, 110.
110, you know.
Oh my gosh.
So then we get to the last episode. So we're almost at
Mm-hmm.
the end of this journey. And the last episode is called Yucca Valley. So Yucca Valley is, where the DODC prison is. They're trying to get more people in there because it's only half full. So it's a government thing. So they're trying to also force their way to get more people in there. They're still chasing down
Well,
Simon, right? Um, and
well,
yes,
okay, sorry, go ahead.
no
I want to see
problem.
where you're going.
And then, yeah, and then, so anyway, so we get that. So Simon now thinks, okay, well, I use my powers. My career is over. I was betrayed by my friend who I thought was a friend. It's done. He calls his mom, and his mom even said something like that in an earlier episodes, like the one time that not Trevor, that Simon said he loved her, like it struck differently. And he
Hmm.
went back to that one moment, say, "Hey, mom, I love you," without saying, "Everything okay?" And he thinking, "Well, any moment now, someone's coming through my door to arrest me. Career's over.
Right.
Life is over. Done, done, done." And then finally gets the call from Simon, sorry, from Trevor.
From
Trevor calls
Trevor.
Simon, and he says, "Look, I figured out a way for this to work. Live your life. Make this movie. I'm going to correct the wrong that I did." Um, and he comes back once again. That's the Mandarin of the
Hilarious.
Ted
Because that
Riggs, and came up with his whole elaborate plan, and
listen,
took it,
go on.
took it for, the saying, "I fooled you all. You guys thought I was innocent. I really was part of the brainwave plan of Hollywood," and made up this whole conspiracy theory that people were going down. And then you're getting flashbacks of all the people they ran into throughout the episodes. So the two guys that we had to steal back the bike were like, we we have the Mandarin here. This is where it comes down to, which was so so much fun, right? And so you see that their friendship really did touch him.
Yeah.
So he gets arrested by the DODC. They're like, "Okay, we don't know what you're playing at," but the guy who's arresting him can't say nothing
Yeah.
because it gave him a bump in his career.
Right. Like he knew he pulled Simon Trevor aside and said, "I know it was Simon. I know you're covering for him. I'm talking about. I'm the Mandarin. It was all me. I've done it again. I am back." Listen, I want to say on that point, I'm hilariously laughing on a couple of things. I'm happy that well, again, Trevor is like it's um like the Wizard of Oz, the Tin
Right.
Man. He has a heart, that kind of scenario. I have a heart. I'm actually doing something good type of scenario. But what killed me in that sense is that everybody was everybody was not say against Trevor as the Mandarin.
Yeah.
No one wanted to really touch, get within reach, work with Trevor so much because he was the Mandarin. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
your past is tainted. I don't know if I could deal with you type of scenario. So if you think about this, right, when that happened, they had the dinner, they had the lunch, whatever the case may be with
Yes.
Christian the
Yes.
night before, right? So I'm gonna
Yes.
listen. I'm walking timelining this. Like, walk with me for a second, B. Walk with me with this, because I'm gonna just say, cool, they had lunch, whatever the case may be, because all that happened was at nighttime, was dark. Let's just say it's California. The sun is later on that end, blah blah blah. So let's give them, I'll say 10 o'clock. Let's just say by 10 o'clock, sunset is on that side. Let's just give them that. Okay,
Right.
late dinner, 9 o'clock. Let's go 9 o'clock. Let's go 9 o'clock. So
Mhm.
from 9 o'clock
Uh-huh.
to the following morning, let's go a good 12 hours. Because he called his mom in the morning. She's having some tea, she's pouring in tea and whatever the case may be. So, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. Mama, she's having her tea. So 12 hours from that time. How did Trevor get this thing figured out? Because I'm looking at stuff like this. No one really, as far as I would think, no one's going to want to work with you. Who did Trevor reach out to say, listen, I'm getting back in the game. I'm going to need clips. I'm going to need the costume, because I don't know if Trevor still had that costume. Who knows? I don't recall him mentioning it or not, because he'd always try to detach himself from the Mandarin itself. So did he have the costume still in his apartment? Who knows? But I was laughing in my head, not laughing, but I was thinking like, okay, so within 12 hours, a person who was not understanding YouTube from a GoPro,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
having the ability to upload it, how did you facilitate to have that? Who did you talk to? Do you still have connection? Because technically, all that stuff that was done beforehand was always Adrian Killian. I'm gonna say his name wrong, but I'm
Okay.
going to say it right. Aldrich Killian. He
Yes,
was the one
yes,
who was, he was
yeah,
a mastermind. He
yep,
had all the funding. He was the one who did all that type of stuff.
yep.
So where did you, Mr. Trevor, who did you speak to? You still got some ties? Who you have ties in the black market that you could able to acquire information and get that all done? That was I thought, that was interesting. I know maybe like now I'm starting to sound like Simon, getting too deep into it, but I was hilarious that he can come up with a story, have old
Mhm,
clips of old presidents and all that kind of stuff, Hollywood.
mhm.
I don't know if you noticed, Josh Gad was in that clip, huh?
Yep,
So
yep.
now to go back to what you said earlier, is Josh ever going to come back? Maybe that's what they meant. Yeah, we'll see him again in the clip. But anyway, I digress. That was funny if
Right,
that was
right.
the
So
story.
here's my theory, and once again, it's just a theory. So
Mm-hmm.
over the course of their adventures, they met various people, right? People like um him. Okay, now is someone to go out there and work with a terrorist kind of guy? Most of them would
There,
say no, with the exception of the cookie guys. The one that said "steal my bike" with the GoPro,
no, you see,
because he would
because
say,
they were
"Look,
quite
man,
happy. They were happy looking. Like you see the clip, like, oh my gosh, he's back on. So they were so surprised to
yeah, I guess so." They were too surprised, but I was thinking
there
that
was,
maybe he would have reached out to them because maybe he reached out to them and said, "Hey, I need you to put together this video for me," because they're the only ones that would have been able. I'll do a video
but
for
it would have
him.
been obvious. But it would have been obvious when you look the type of picture, kind of, because if he's done it before, and everybody at least has those type of clippings, like you can basically you think in the mindset of MCU YouTube,
Mhm.
their clippings, because he did that. How many? I'm sure he did at least what, three
Yeah.
Mandarin clippings, in Iron Man three times.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? So it's the same type of format. So that's why I'm just saying that it would have been someone who would have been on a black market who knows, like, okay, you're doing terrorist activities. This is my field. All right, Trevor, I need about 10 grand for that. I can get you that in 6 hours.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
no
it
problem.
it doesn't even have to go that deep. He can go back to that self tape woman and say, "Hey, I'm going to do this role as the Mandarin. Uh, I know I was a terrorist, but I'm playing this role again because I need it for whatever case to be. Let's film this for me." Or you could have gone to those same kids and said, "Hey
Which wait,
guys,
wait, so which self tape lady? The one that
so at the
was
very
the one
the
that
one that
was
was
at
supposed to
the
read the lines at the self tape place where
come
they
on,
went, right?" And that's a
man. She
stretch.
couldn't. She couldn't even read herself out of her paper bag. She has no.
I
I.
still go back. I still go
She
back.
was
It's to the
hilarious.
kids with the. I go
Not to
back to the kids with
her.
a GoPro. I
Listen.
think it's the kids. I think it's the kids with a GoPro that turned around and simply said, "Hey, man, guys, I got to do this to help my friend out. Remember Simon that was here? Yeah, man. You guys owe me a favor. Yeah, man. Okay, I need you to help me put this clip together." So when they saw it, it wasn't so much surprise. It was more like, "Snap! He actually did it. Right? This is what he needed the clips for." So I think it was them.
Okay.
I think it
Okay.
was them
Okay.
at the house
Okay.
and help them put those clips together.
That's
Right?
hilarious.
Hey, look, I
Okay.
edited this thing here from my house, so I think they
Any-
can do it. All you need is an
Anything's possible.
iPhone. All you need is an iPhone or a Samsung, S26 sponsorship. I wish, or something along those lines with a good laptop and an editing program, and voila,
Yeah. Yeah.
4K, 30
Yeah. Yeah.
frames per
Yeah.
second. Voila, here we go.
Hilarious. This
So
guy. This guy.
I'm leaning that it was those kids that helped them put it together. So when they saw it, it wasn't they were so much surprised. They were happy to see the clip now went live because
Mm.
remember the other thing was, hey, we want to make Mandarin cookies or whatever it is, right? So he probably made a clip saying, "Hey, I'll do a clip for you in a Mandarin costume, pushing these cookies, but I need you
Right.
guys to film this for me." So watch in future projects. So that's this is what I liked about this episode. That was awesome. So he gave himself up. He saves Simon.
Yeah.
Movie gets done. The other actor, I can't remember his name right now, who was from The Matrix,
Joe Pantalani.
Joe Bantalani,
Pantalino.
who
Oh my God.
stole another role from him,
Uh,
came in and played Barnaby, Mister I Eat Steak, put me back into the Matrix. This was beautiful. Like, and
uh,
then of course Simon coming out wearing the red costume on the red carpet, his brother being happy for him. All of this was great. Now
mhm.
here's happy ending overall. You did ask about Trevor. Okay, he's in a site, can't get him. All right,
Yeah.
fine. Now I know for this whole series, there's no after credit clips, right? For
Right.
season, like usually Marvel does after credit clips for most of their products for
Yeah.
projects. This one had no after credit clips, but episode 8, I say the last half of episode 8 after the premiere, it was all an after credit scene. They just put it as an episode.
No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I
So
got a break. I got a mental breakdown on that storyline as well. But let you go. I want to see.
no problem. I know this is going long, so we'll make this one quick. So after credit scene turned around, he did, I felt like it was after credit scene. So Wonder Man, success. Oh, I don't want to do sequels, maybe. Okay, fine. And then he's looking for another role, and he's there moving in with a family. He's talking, he's getting his footing with them to understand them because he's using the teachings that Trevor taught him about learn about people, talk to people. People are nice, right? And learn their
Yeah.
names and all that. So he starts using that for his next part of the plan. And this is, to me, that was a full, what would have been broken up as after credits on some movies in like 2 minutes kind of thing. This was a full in depth after credit scene in the series.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All
100%.
right, then. So
Listen,
that was my
I
feel.
was trying to break that down because I said let me refresh my memory. How long is an average movie is done? 3 to 4 months. So basically,
the initial filming you could do it. You could actually do a movie like in 2 3 months probably. I think you can do it like just film it,
yeah, yeah,
right? And then of course all the post production, yeah.
Right, and I would say if you notice that when the incident happened, and then the worker, the gentleman from the studio came and say,
Yes.
Kovac doesn't miss a day. Unfortunately,
Yep.
due to what's happening, he doesn't miss a day. So we got to work. So when he did his lines and everything like that, he had the technique of having like say the tennis ball, so he at least he can see who he's talking to because Barnaby was supposed to be Trevor. He had to run the lines, but Trevor's not there.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So basically, and then you see in the movie, Joe Panty was basically in there,
CGI'd in after.
CGI in, green screen in, and everything, all that kind of jazz. Fine. So I'm gonna say that at that point they still didn't, of course, because it happened. We need a Barnaby, but I gotta get good light. Kovac was saying, listen, we gotta get the light, but it just kept going. So I'm gonna take it that it took about say 3 to 4 months for filming. Filming's done. Now, again, and also, you know what? I didn't even think of this, but I'm going to say this right now. Because when a movie's done, like right now, Doomsday is supposed to be finished. When is Doomsday actually coming out, bro? Because when is that coming out?
Around Christmas? Later this
year. Right. Yeah. That's another 8 to 9 months on top of that.
Post-production.
Right. So I didn't even think of that. I won't even lie. I didn't even think of that. Now I have to extend my whole timeline. But anyways, I'm going to just say, let's be nice, short, quick. They add another 6 months on top of that. So 4, 6, you know what I mean? Now we're talking about 9 months to do that. Just to do that. Because at that point, it's now the reveal movies, movie night is out. Yep. That's when he has a talk with Janelle, and Janelle says, listen, no one knows where this place is. This place is like a locked box. It's just drop in the darkness. No one knows where it is. And then we go into what you're saying. Now he finds somebody and just said, yeah, I got to study you for a role. Let's keep it hush. Don't say anything. I'm going to have to study you. Just carry on your normal day, anything and everything. And what I thought about that was like, okay, how long would it normally take, to study a character? A month to 2 months? I'm sure by then you'll get enough. Because again, we jumped in. We don't know how long he's been there, but I'm going to be nice and let me just dash another 2 months on top of that.
Yeah, because at this point we know Wonder Man the movie's out and it's success, so everyone recognizes him as Wonder Man.
Exactly.
So now and I'll say this for half a second. Because he's black, let's just call it straight. They always say the running joke, all black people look alike. So when other people say him, it's like, hey, you look familiar. Yeah, I'm from here.
Right. 100%. Hilariously, but 100%. 100%. So I'm going to say with that, he's now trying to find, he found, pause, let's think, how? Because if Janelle didn't know, and like you said in the very first, Janelle, you know everybody. You can talk and smooch with anybody and everybody. You can get information out of everybody. So that's why I took it at the end. Jay, have you heard about Trevor? I've heard nothing. And that means if my go-to person can't find, I got to find some other means. How? I hope they explain it in season 2. But let's just say it took another month or so just to get information, because I'm sure that information isn't easy to find. You know what I
No,
mean? You got
no.
to talk to somebody, talk to them, talk. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
8 degrees of separation to get that answer. So let's just give it another 2 months on top of that. Then he finds like, okay, it's in this town, surveyed. How did he find? Because again, this is supposed to be a top secret thing. How are you going to find out that this guy is actually a guard at there? You know what I mean? So I'm adding days, I'm adding months up. So the point is like 2 months for him to follow this guy. And again, going back to what you said, Simon is now following the teachings of what Trevor left and instilled in him because he
Yeah.
realized, although Trevor put me in this position and got me upset and whatever, and I felt that he betrayed me, whatever, when now this is like 8 months, a year, he has time to think about this and realizing Trevor actually was genuine. He really was trying, take care of me and, bring the best out of me. I'm going to use these tools, use these techniques. And like you said, befriend somebody and find the guard. As soon as I heard the guard say, listen, I pulled some strings. And I thought that as well. I just started with you to train you, to help you out, whatever the case could be. This is supposed to be a secret kind of organization. I don't know how you found out that I worked there, but I can't easily just roll up to my job and say, yo, I need to get somebody in. I had to pull strings. I had to do this and that and fudge your name and call you Alfonso and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And for me, again, time is taken to get that. So that's why I'm going to give a month to get himself familiarized.
For sure. But
like, again, 2 months. I'll be nice and minimize it to like 2 months.
yeah, but once again, all you had to do was okay. So we know where the prison is. Where that prison is, it's not a secret, right? Where that site is. So you just had to confirm that he was there. It's not like the Shield helicarrier or right. That's the thing about the MCU. Even when they had like Shield and they had their Tricon base, you know, it was known where it was at. It wasn't. It
I
wasn't
don't
the
know.
GI Joe
It
pit.
wasn't. I don't know if it was known where is that. Like once you just know there's a establishment over the hill. It's probably a
Right.
prison. You know it's a prison, but you're just assuming it's a regular prison. No one understands or no one knows outside that it's for enhanced slash mutant slash people with abilities.
I think
Like
it's known because look, Jennifer Walters walked right through there when in her character, like, she knew exactly where to go. She was just a lawyer, right? So it's not overly hidden. It's not
you know
like
what?
the
You're right.
one where
I forgot about you did say Jennifer. Right.
yeah,
With
yeah. It's not like the
thing.
other one where they had the Avengers, where it was Ant-Man and all them got trapped after Civil War, and they had him in that base that was in the water and it almost went underground. Sorry, underwater,
Yeah.
right in the ocean. This
Okay.
one is a
Okay.
known location, right? But you just have to have access in there. So once again, where it's located, all you got to do is get into a town. And
Yeah.
where do all people go? People go to grocery stores, they go to church,
Yeah.
they go, right? So you want to keep a low profile, you go into a bar and you sit in the bar and you see, okay, what's happening here? Karaoke night? Oh, these are the guys that come over from the
There you
you
go.
know,
Yeah. And
and that's exactly what he did,
yeah. No. Right.
right? So he just had to have be smart about it. So what was cool, I'll say this: the costume.
Mm.
The end we actually put on the Wonder Man official black costume, sleeveless,
Yeah.
awesome,
Yep.
right? Perfect, great. So now he gets in there, he gets, he works his way, and he's just being nice. And just as you said before, as Trevor said, being nice goes a long way. He was being
Mm.
nice. He tried to help the guy get back into shape. It's like, oh, your doc. He really started caring about the family, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
like, hey, let's go jogging. Let's do this. Let's do that. You never know.
that that was very big. I like that because
He grew.
realizing again, you're hearing the doctor was saying, listen, you need to lose weight. You need to change your eating habits. Your diet. Like you know, and then to me, I will take it that it was that running, jogging was Simon's.
Trying to
That was
help him.
Simon's. That was Simon's. Exactly. That was his push, his way to help him to listen. I'm gonna pour back into you. And
Yes.
that's what a guy say. You're changing me. Like if you want to be me, how you changing me? Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out in the script type of scenario.
Yes. Exactly. So he cared
And then
about the
hearing about the
family.
wife and
Yep.
again her little scare and just finding it was just Samalia and just basically saying, hey, we didn't know, but I'm still paying for those medical bills and stuff like that.
Right.
Simon took that to heart, and
He took
I
that to heart.
liked it. I liked it.
He grew, and that's the whole point. So now that learning from Trevor, opening up all these months,
Mm-hmm.
he's now got time to kind of fine tune instead of using the powers as a clutch, try to hide them. He's starting to
Yep.
kind of maybe play around with them and use them in certain ways, right? And then he gets in there into prison as Alfonso. And sure enough, the wife gives him a call saying, "Hey, we got a whole lot of money anonymously. You don't even have to work that crappy job no more." Right?
Yeah. Well, and
But Simon you had to make a killing of money from Wonder Man.
100%, just anonymously, because he knows, because in reality, he knows that once he breaks out with Trevor, it's going to come back to what guest came in, what extra person, there must have been someone extra. And it's going to come back to realize that, Chuck, you're going to get yourself pinched because you brought this guy in. So basically, this just gives them the opportunity. By the time they figure that out, Chuck can just say, "Floop, floop, floop. I got the money, family, we're out the door." But I like this. What was interesting, like you're saying, that everybody looks familiar, that the actual same agent saw him turn in the corner. Like, you can see in his face, like, I think I know you, but he's not saying anything because at this time, it's like over a year plus since he haven't thought about Simon as tough as he did with Trevor. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Because all he said is that either Wonder Man could work with us and help us, or he might be able to work against us. And then you can see Simon using his ion powers to put out the cameras. He initiated a plan, kind of, okay, I'm in here now. This is where I'm going. Let me drop the money anonymously
Yeah.
while everything is breaking out. And hopefully he put it in such a way that smart that the family doesn't, that Chuck doesn't get pinched. And then
Right.
he went in there and he breaks them out. And what was interesting is that in his earlier experiences, Wonder Man never flew. He had to use a jetpack or a jet belt to fly. And it's only later on that, George Perez, when he got the black costume with the sleeves, that he was able to fly. So he went
Right.
in there and he broke him out of prison. So, I'll wrap this up real quick and say this. And I'll let you have your thoughts there too, Rod. Um, the question is, what's next? So is this going to tie into a Shang-Chi 2? Because now he brought back the Mandarin and the Shang-Chi and the Mandarin's still around, but it's the daughter. So
100%.
right, the Ten Rings organization, is that going to bring it back? Is that going to bring out Killian and try to tie that in?
Yeah.
Where do you go? Because you're two of the most recognizable people. So they never saw Simon's face, right?
Yes. Correct.
General public doesn't know that Simon is Wonder Man with powers, right? So
Correct.
Simon can go back to his life and say, "Prove it was me. I wasn't there." You
Right.
know, and hopefully he's got through to Chuck saying, "Look, it was me. Sorry, man. I paid you this. Do this. Keep it on the low, and you go about your business." So the really
No, I think Chuck,
the
I'm
loose
sure
thread,
it's. I
yeah,
think Chuck will figure that out because in the beginning he
Chuck will
kept
figure
telling
it
him,
out.
"Don't." Huh?
Chuck will figure it out. But the loose thread is Chuck and his family and what happens to them next. Right now, for Simon,
Right.
if Chuck is able to kind of stay under the radar, then
That's
Simon
all.
is good.
I think
For
he would be smart enough to do that. Like you said, he wanted to get out. His wife said he wants to get out.
yeah,
Simon made sure he said, "Kids, parents, don't tell anybody I'm here." So now this is
yes,
going to be one of those type of secret that's going to go to them to their grave. And you're saying
yeah,
what's happened to them next? All I will say these words: invest in real estate.
right. Thank you.
Who was
Thank you.
telling to invest in real estate in Italy and get away? You trust me. So I was in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, that's best. That's one of the best places. Just invest it, have a property on their unknown name, unknown corporation, has no
Yep.
ties to Simon. Trevor, hold yourself here. We're gonna figure it out. I gotta go back to Hollywood.
And
We'll
keep this
talk.
thing going. Right. The
Keep this thing
only
going.
the only threat, as I said, is the fact that if they investigate, okay, one of who came in here and they look at the guards and they look at the guards' bank
Yeah,
accounts. Chuck, how'd you get all this money? It came in
right.
anonymously. Who gave you this money, Chuck? Uh, right. And that's the only thing that would kind of screw up Chuck and his family, which I
Yeah,
don't want to happen.
right.
But Simon, and as to your point, time went by. Simon knew how to use his powers to put out the camera, and Simon knew he could fly,
Yeah,
which he never did before. It was almost like Smallville, where you see, Clark Kent's fly for the first time in the distance, and you don't see him. It's just a little dot, and then you see the smoke, and it's like, oh, okay. So here we are. I know this was a long one, people, but we had to cover it. Um, uh, the whole question is, what next? Do we get a season 2 of
mm,
Wonder Man?
mm-hmm.
And the thing is, they're making Wonder Man really strong power wise, which he is,
Yeah,
and he's also supposed to be long lived. So, Wonder Man in the comic book starts off with the Avengers. He goes through his whole
yeah,
thing. but there is a possible future if you read the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book, not the one that's based off of Starman. I'm talking the comic book from the 90s where it was Vance Astro, it was Charlie 27, and the rest of them, where they're like
Yeah.
in the future.
Yep.
Wonder Man still is there, and he joins a team called Galactic Guardians, and he goes by the name Hollywood. He's got a gray beard because he's also immortal. So if he's a mutant and immortal, that means he's I think they call it externals, right?
Right.
Where the mutant anyone that's mutant that and there's some of them if you look at the old X-Force comic book when
Hmm.
they first started, they kind of started counting that because Cannonball from that team was at the time immortal, right?
Yeah.
Unless they lose their heads, like Highlander, literally. So there we go. That's. I want to see what's next. Is he going to show up in Shang-Chi, Avengers Doomsday? Is it going to be a Wonder Man season 2?
Listen, hopefully they're gonna. I really hope that they do a Wonder Man 2, Wonder Man season 2.
Right.
He's now on the West Coast. Can we implement that? We can create a West Coast Avengers.
That's the other
Now,
point.
remember, there's two Avengers right now. There's two Avengers right now.
On the
Remember.
West Coast?
So there's the
Yeah.
the Avengers we know.
Yeah.
No. Like, well, if they
Oh, that's
disbanded,
what
but
you
I
think.
mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Thor, Iron Man, Captain America come
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
There's and again, Captain America Sam, who's leading it. Again, remember Avengers,
Yep.
like saying, we're copyrighted, we're trademarked, you're taking our name, whatever the case was. So there's two. So
Yes.
can we convince that maybe you'll take the B team and ship them over to the West Coast? Because She-Hulk was also on that. You got Wonder Man. Tai
Yep.
Chi is
Well,
I mean,
right. So
Tai Chi here. I mean,
the initial run of the
Shang-Chi
West Coast
is
Avengers.
on
Right. So the initial run of the West Coast Avengers was
yeah.
Hawkeye, right? Okay. Mockingbird,
Yeah.
Wonder Man, Tigra,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it shows Tony Stark, but I don't believe it was, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it was Tony. I can't remember if it was Tony Stark or if it was Rhodes in the Tony Stark armor, like War Machine.
Brody.
Right.
I think it was Rhodes in the Tony Stark
Right.
outfit.
But those were the
Correct
main
me if I'm
ones with
wrong,
other
everybody,
ones
but I
considered.
think that was it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk, like not in another version down the line. Not the initial team, but
Right. Right.
she
Right. But
was.
yes. Yes.
I think she
Oh,
was part of the West Coast later on.
yeah.
So
She was on everyone's
that's what
team
I'm
at one
saying.
point,
She's
man.
here right now. Well, the traveling Willbilly.
Yeah. She's
Take me in.
she's
Tell
been
me, take
on
me in.
Avengers, West Coast Avengers, Fantastic Four. She's on everyone's team, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
here's I'm saying that there's no Tiger right now. We have no Tiger
No.
right now, but we
Nope.
do have She-Hulk. You have Hawkeye if they decide to work out his contract and bring Jeremy back in, bring
Yep.
him to that because his wife is Mockingbird. Let's just say if she has to come out of retirement,
Done.
that's it.
Done, son.
Shang-Chi is on that side as well. So I'm just saying you could make an MCU version of the West Coast Avengers.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
We can work something out. Something can be done.
Something can be done. So yeah, absolutely.
So
look,
anyway, let's not go any further.
that's a different conversation. But look, we've come to the end of this episode, everyone. I know this is a long one. We just been happy to be back. We wanted to break this down once again for Black History Month. So from myself, Barry 3D, and my man,
Rod C.
DJ Rod C. Exactly. This has been the Iconis podcast. Our icon is how you want to pronounce it. We're good with either one. And this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We're out.